Hey guys, Subharaj here and I'm back with another video. Today I wanted to talk about, I guess, the mother of all music theory, intervals. That's what we're talking about today. Intervals is probably one of the most important concepts in music theory that a lot of people don't seem to have very good knowledge about or like a clear understanding of and that's what this video is about. So anyway, what are intervals? In simple words, intervals is literally the distance between two notes. That's what it actually is. So let's say if I'm playing a D note, right, and then I play an E note, so the distance between D and E, we're gonna need some kind of a name for it, right? You know, similarly, if I'm going backwards in pitch, okay, so this is going up in pitch or forward in pitch, and that's going backward in pitch, right? You can choose any note as your starting point. That really doesn't matter. When it comes to the naming, the most important thing is the concept of whole steps, half steps, and unison. So unison is when you're playing the exact same pitch together. So like for example, let's say I'm playing an E note here, right? And I can play the same exact E note on the third string, ninth fret. This same note can also be played on fourth string, 14th fret, and then same thing on fifth string. That's gonna be what, 17th, 19th fret, and so on. And like if you have a 24th fret here, then that's the same note that you can play there as well. So this is called unison, where you're playing the exact same pitch, and this is also the same note as the first string open. Next one is where the distance between the two notes is a half step, or in terms of guitar, it's basically one fret. So if I'm taking this E note again, or if I'm going backwards in pitch, right? So that's the distance, that's called a half step, also known as a minor second. Okay, so if I play both this E as well as that minor second together, or I can play it here as well, or if I play it backward, I can play it that way also, or I can play it like that. So that's a minor second. And then the third most important one is a whole step, which is also known as a major second. Okay, now I'll come to the naming in a bit, but a whole step would basically be two frets apart on a guitar, or right, so E and F sharp in this case, so and then D, because I'm playing this D here. These are the three most important things. Now the thing is, when we go beyond that, the interval names just keep increasing, and if we go beyond that, like below that, of course it keeps decreasing. But however, the distance, the name of the distance will still remain the same. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take E as my starting point here, and I'm simply gonna keep playing each interval. I'm going to call out the name of each interval, and I want you to, for now at least, try and remember them as that interval. Okay, so E to E, that's a unison. E to F, minor second. E to F sharp, major second. E to G, which is 3 frets, so that's gonna be a minor third. Then E to G sharp. Okay, so how many frets are those? Those are like 4 frets, so that's a major third. Then E to A, that's a perfect fourth, that's 5 frets apart. Then, so this particular thing is called an augmented fourth or a diminished fifth, depending on the perspective, which I'll come back to again later on. Then we have perfect fifth. Then we have minor sixth or augmented fifth, that's what it's also known as. Then we have major sixth. Then we have minor 7 and finally major 7, and then that is preceded by the octave. So this is called perfect octave. So what we did there are known as simple intervals, which means that these intervals are within one octave. Now obviously you can play each of these notes up an octave as well, so those are referred to as compound intervals. Okay, so like in case of E over here, that was the 7th, right? So once we reach the octave, we refer to this as the 8. So when we are going beyond the octave, we're going to use the number 9. So this is going to be a minor 9, which is essentially a minor second but up an octave. Then we have a major 9, which is again major second but up an octave. Okay, minor 10th, which is minor third up an octave, and then we have major 10th, which is major third up an octave, perfect 11, which is perfect fourth up an octave, augmented 11 or diminished fifth, which is augmented fourth / diminished fifth up an octave, perfect 12 or perfect fifth up an octave. That's my minor 13 or minor 6 up an octave, major 13 or major 6 up an octave, minor 14th or minor 7 up an octave, major 14 or major 7 up an octave, and then again another octave right here. Okay, so simple intervals, compound intervals. Now let's talk about easier ways of remembering things. One of the easiest ways I found was, at this point you should be having the major scale shape sort of memorized. So if you have that, if you play an E major scale, right, the major scale already consists of major second, major third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, major sixth, major 7, and perfect octave. So in order to figure out the minor notes, all you gotta do is flatten those, even for the augmented and diminished, right? So if I want to figure out a minor second, I find the major second and flat that. If I want to figure out a minor third, I find the major third, flat that, and so on. So you can apply that concept on any of these scale tones or scale degrees, right? Now about the augmented and diminished ones, the reason we use that is because, honestly, I don't know the reason why they use that. Like at Berkeley or any other place that I've learned music theory from, whether it's the internet or any other people that I've met along the way, we have all really just referred to it as that. So I've never really questioned why it was called that. But the way I look at it, any interval that's called a major interval usually seems to have a very consonant sound. For example, E to F sharp, right? That's a pretty consonant interval. E to G sharp, consonant interval. On the other hand, a minor third would be E to G, which is a little darker, right? So in a way you could see that it's a little more dissonant, Perfect fourth, consonant. Augmented fourth, dissonant, right? Major 6, consonant. Minor 6, dissonant. Yeah, so that's how I used to sort of try and remember it. And of course, when it came to the compound intervals, it's really just that, but up an octave. So yeah, hopefully that clears up a lot about intervals for you all. As far as when to use it and how to use it is concerned, I really don't understand the point of a question like that. The reason is because we really learn intervals to have an idea about a shape. It's like it's visualization in a way, right? Because we, like, right now I'm showing it to you on the guitar, but in reality, in my mind, I'm sort of trying to see it on the staff or maybe on a piano as well. And so it's a way of sort of visualizing the distance between notes, and that is particularly helpful when you're trying to play a lot of improvised music, or just trying to improvise in general, when you're trying to learn a new idea of some sort, or a new arpeggio of some sort, new scale of some sort. Like, for example, the major scale that I played over there, like I said, that it has a major second, major third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, major sixth, major seven, and then an octave, right? So that's like an easy way for me to just convey the message to you, or like to any other student. So yeah, that would be the use of intervals. There is no such musical, I mean, it is a musical use. I guess the right word for it would be, if you're thinking that knowing intervals is going to help you magically create new licks or ideas or new songs, no, it doesn't freaking work like that. Intervals will essentially give you a perspective of seeing music, um, in a more visualized way, which, believe it or not, that's a lot more helpful than just knowing a lot of unnecessary and useless theory. You can know all the theory on this planet and still be an educated, um whatever, I don't want to use any bad words over here, but then you're getting the point that it's one thing to know something, and it's one thing to have some perspective and sort of use it in the moment for creating music, so that you can have your own way of visualizing and remembering things. That's how I use music theory. When I'm improvising, I'm not really thinking of music theory as much as I'm trying to hear the harmony, and as much as I'm trying to, like, outline that harmony. Even if I'm randomly thinking of some improvisation, let's say I'm just like freely improvising something. um let's say I'll start with an E note. So right now I'm not really thinking on a scale, rather I'm just thinking of some intervals. So that's really like some melodic movement, where I am outlining a certain kind of harmony, but without any harmony. Now, if I try to improvise again and I try to harmonize whatever I'm trying to play, that will again like give me a completely different perspective of improvisation, and like a completely different dimension in improvisation, I guess. Like, let's say, so on, right? Where I have a melodic movement going on in my head. I have some harmonic movements going on in my head. I'm not even really thinking of the kind of chords I'm playing. I'm not really even thinking of whether I'm even following a scale. But because to be honest, why should I even bother thinking about that? I want to create music and I don't want to end up sounding like I'm just randomly using some scale. I want to sound like I'm moving harmony. It's as simple as that. Like, that's just how I want to go about it. Now, someone else might have a completely different perspective to it or a completely different method of doing that. But regardless, intervals is gonna be useful for you anyway. Um, so yeah, I think I'm gonna end today's video right here. That's enough of a rant about intervals, and hopefully you got something out of it. If you did, and if this was helpful, please consider liking and commenting down below. And also, please subscribe to the channel. Please share it. That really helps the channel grow so I can reach more people and I can keep making videos for all of you. Because believe it or not, like, when you see more likes, comments, shares, etc., subscribes, and that does motivate you more to make more videos. Lastly, if you want to take private lessons with me, you want to know these things in detail and a lot more about improvisation, composition, the guitar as a solo instrument, my details are below. You can directly call me or you can message me on WhatsApp and I'll give you all the details. And yeah, I offer both online and offline classes. So even if you're not based in India, in Calcutta, I can still teach. So yeah, get in touch. Hopefully this was helpful and I'll be back with another video soon. See you.